The best anglers in the world brought their skills to one of the best fishing sites in the nation, Kentucky Lake. It's the 5th event of the Walmart FLW Tour. While the race for Angler of the Year is heating up, so also is qualifying for the $1.5 million Jacobs Cup. Our 10 finalists moved closer to both, and today one of our top 10 will win $100,000, starting right now on FLW Outdoors.
Kentucky, the home of FLW Outdoors and the site of the 5th stop on the Walmart FLW Tour. I'm Carlton Wing.
Here come the anglers, and I'm Taylor Carr.
I'm Charlie Evans. This event presented by Energizer. We're here at the home of Kentucky Wildcat fans.
I tell you what, and they have been loud and proud all week long, and our anglers have had to deal with some high water as well. They've been fishing in the backyards and parking lots in some cases.
Picnic tables, ball goals, those are the targets here as the water continually went up all week long.
Lots of anglers we thought had local advantage, but Charlie, this week that local advantage was 6 to 8 feet underwater. Was there any local advantage at all?
Absolutely not. This was as level of playing field as we could ever have in professional angling. This was a true test of the best here under some very trying conditions.
And our best anglers this week have picked up valuable points in the season standings. That road to Richmond, $1.5 million in the FLW Tour Championship coming up in September.
That'll be a huge show. We want to encourage you to make your plans to be there September 10th through 13th. And for more information, go to FLWOutdoors.com. It's going to be a big, big show, Charlie.
$1.5 million at stake, $500,000 in the winner, $12,200 to last place in that huge 4-day outdoor show, a country music concert. It's going to be quite a deal.
And so also will this show. Coming up, we will have all the on-the-water action from Kentucky Lake. And coming up next on FLW Outdoors, a recap of the qualifying round. Welcome back to Benton, Kentucky, everybody, in coverage of the 5th stop on the Walmart FLW Tour. And we get to see some of the best lakes and best waterways in the country, but Kentucky Barkley is one of the best by far in the nation.
Yep.
We may be a little biased here, FLW, our home here on Kentucky Lake, but we think it is indeed a premier fishery.
I followed an angler today and ran about 50 miles south, and I had a bunch more to go. Not to give anything away, but this angler caught 5 fish, 5 keepers in 35 minutes. That's the kind of fishery this fishery is. There are fish everywhere, and it goes on forever.
And you can catch all kinds of bass here as well.
Kentucky spotted bass, largemouth, smallmouth. These lakes have them both 186 miles long from dam to dam on Kentucky, and then through the canal into the Barkley, 156 miles there. Normally at Pool, 236,000 acres, and here, probably double that by now with the flooding.
Well, these anglers had a lot to do this week just to qualify to make it to this stage this weekend.
Yeah, we started with 175 of the world's best anglers. The 10 you see on stage are the 10 who survived the first 2 days. So the first 2 days are critical. Here's a look back at days 1 and 2 on Kentucky Lake.
We're raising a few eyebrows, but nobody out there getting too excited. Whoa, look at here. I'll tell you what, a snickered big bass there. Eat a man. All right. Yeah, got him on the board.
Kentucky Lake, day 1.
With Kentucky and Barkley Lakes as high as anyone can remember, the world's best anglers knew that typical springtime fishing might be out the window. Exhaustive practice revealed a lot of things were working.
Boy, I tell you, there's so much going on here. There's flipping, there's spinnerbait shallow bite, there's a ledge bite going on, and we have a little bit of all of that.
But most of the focus was on the rising water and the places it was going.
You can see behind me, it's this flooded forest, and the problem is that when it flooded, a lot of debris and stuff floated up, so you can't really even get back to it.
Right now, if you can't get between the outside brush and the bank, you're going to be having a little trouble catching fish.
Some anglers took a different approach and started day 1 fishing deep. It was the right move for High Point, North Carolina's Rick Marsh. Carolina rigging brought him a nice 2.5-pounder and early confidence. When our camera boat approached Larry Nixon, he was flipping a Cinco, but without success. Then you signaled 0 fish to me, and then what happened?
Yeah, that's right. Every time you show up, I get lucky, you know. And no, I didn't have any. I'd only fished one other spot. That was my second stop, and I just saw a little spot to put my Cinco and throw it over there and caught that 5-pounder.
That was the biggest of Larry's 4 fish. With 11 pounds, he ended up 66th after day 1. Better results for Kevin Vandam, 19.5 pounds, and 3rd place on a spinnerbait in shallow flooded areas.
Not all the fish in the lake have spawned yet, and I'm trying to concentrate on what I think are the areas where some of the fish might still be spawning.
Terry Baxey had an even better day, fishing slow. How slow?
Fishing it so slow that you can barely even stand it. So I just put the rod down to get another rod out of the rod locker one time, and I got my biggest fish. Next time I went to get a drink out of a cooler, had my second biggest fish.
It's no surprise that former Kentucky Lake winner David Fritz got his limit on a crankbait.
I'm fishing a little bit different cover. I'm fishing some of the outside bushes, throwing a crankbait.
How's that for variety on Kentucky Lake? A crankbait, a spinnerbait, and dead sticking a jig. Day 1's only 20-pound sack came from Wisconsin's Tom Monsour, mainly on a homemade jig. In all, 76 pros weighed first day limits.
Kentucky Lake. Day 2.
For anglers who've struggled, day 2's the time to make a move. Figuring out exactly how can be tricky.
Normally these fish will go to the bank, and for some reason, my fish ain't going to the bank. They're staying where they're at.
34th place David Dudley found his fish near the bank, but what looked like a 5-pounder on the hook set turned out to be a disappointment. Greg Hackney and Randy Alexander were Carolina rigging the same area when Alexander hooked a keeper. He caught a limit and finished in the money. And the leaders continue to bring in nice bags of fish. Tom Monsour followed his leading stringer with 16 more pounds, fishing a brush hog on gravel bars and swimming a jig.
There's 10 different patterns guys are doing here, you know. I just picked out 2 I like, and that's what I'm doing.
This will be your first top 10. How does that feel?
There's nothing like FLW. This is my dream.
For local favorite Dan Morehead, the dream was a second win on Kentucky Lake. A subpar 8 pounds on day 2 kept him out of the finals, but not out of the hearts of his fans.
I've had so much local people, you know, pumping me and supporting me, and I just want to tell everybody thanks. You guys are all family, and I really appreciate it.
Morehead ended up 55th, but kept his solid lead in the Angler of the Year race. With Morehead out of the picture, the first 2 days on Kentucky Lake belonged to Kevin Vandam. 18 pounds vaulted him to first place, but on a bite he said was not improving.
It's not getting better, but that doesn't mean I can't catch him. You only gotta, you gotta get him 1 bite at a time.
Joining Vandam and Monsour in the finals, Gary Yamamoto, Terry Baxey, Todd Airy, Steve Kennedy, Davey Height, Terry Seagraves, Mike Sherman, and Jeffrey Thomas. Snickers Big Bass Awards went to Cody Bird at 6'10" and Robert Beatty at 7'2". In the co-angler competition, Ryan Chandler of Hobart, Indiana, weighed in 14 pounds 5 ounces and won the $15,000 first prize. When we come back, you'll meet our 10 pro finalists.
This is FLW Outdoors, and you are watching coverage of the 5th stop on the Walmart FLW Tour. We began our tournament with a full field of 175 pros, and those who made the cut are surrounding the stage right now. These finalists made what we call the Poland cut. So let's meet our finalists right now. Our first finalist is one of the biggest names in bass fishing today. He's won almost everything there is to win in the sport, but is looking for his first FLW title. He led the field after the first 2 days with an incredible weight of 37 pounds 10 ounces. Currently in 10th place from Kalamazoo, Michigan, Kevin Vandam. Our
Our next finalist won the very first FLW tournament ever held back in January of 1996. He entered this tournament ranked 25th in the season standings and is moving up with this, his 5th top 10 appearance. Currently in 9th place from Boca Raton, Florida, Sherman. Our next finalist is another big-time veteran of bass fishing. His day 2 weight of 16.5 pounds gave him the 3rd best weight of the qualifying round. But perhaps his proudest moment came seeing his son in the final round as a co-angler. Currently in 8th place from Mineola, Texas, the proud Papa Gary Yamamoto. Our next finalist has fished with the FLW Tour since our inaugural season in 1996. This is his 2nd top 10. He's turned in the 2nd best weight after day 1 with 19 pounds 9 ounces. Currently in 7th place from Monroe, Connecticut, Terry Baxey. Our next finalist is a veteran of the BFL and EverStart series, and in his 2nd season on the FLW Tour, a day 2 weight of 17 pounds 12 ounces helped him leap from 67th place to a slot in his 2nd career top 10. Currently in 6th place from Broadway, North Carolina, Jeffrey Thomas. Our next finalist is an FLW Tour rookie. His day 2 weight of 20 pounds 3 ounces was best in the field and helped him make the cut, coming back from 59th place. Currently in 5th place with 11 pounds 12 ounces from Birmingham, Alabama, Todd Airy. Our next finalist is in his 7th season of FLW competition. Consistent Carolina rigging brought this Floridian into the first FLW final round. His total weight the first 2 days, a very impressive 30 pounds. Currently in 4th place from Kissimmee, Florida, Terry Seagraves. Our next finalist owns the BFL Great Lakes Division with 3 season championships. He finished 3rd in the EverStart North Division last year and is a force on any northern waterway. He found solid success in Kentucky this week, leading after day 1 and holding 2nd after day 2. Currently in 3rd place after day 3 from La Crosse, Wisconsin, Tom Monsour. Our next finalist is in his 4th FLW Top 10 and is the winner of the 1998 FLW Tour Championship. He is one of the more recognizable names in professional fishing and proved it in the first half of the final round with an impressive 19-pound 3-ounce stringer. Currently in 2nd place, just 3 pounds 15 ounces off the lead from Prosperity, South Carolina, Davey Height. Our final finalist is a longtime veteran of the BFL, where he finished 3rd place at last year's All-American. He's enjoying his best ever tournament in this, his 2nd season on the FLW Tour. His mammoth stringer on day 3 is the largest this week. Currently in 1st place, your leader with 23 pounds 1 ounce from Auburn, Alabama, Steve Kennedy. And ladies and gentlemen, here are your 10 finalists for the tournament at Kentucky Lake. When we come back on FLW Outdoors, we will see how these finalists got to where they are. We'll see some of the amazing fish that Kentucky Lake has to offer.
Kentucky Lake, day 3.
Welcome back to FLW Outdoors and day 3 on Kentucky Lake. Our field of 175 pros has been cut down to the final 10. And perhaps no finalist is more proud to be here than Gary Yamamoto. Not only did Gary make the cut, but his son Derek made the final round as a co-angler. We'll talk to the proud papa in just a moment, but first Taylor Carr is across Kentucky Lake with another happy finalist.
And talk about somebody who's proud. It's Todd Airy from Birmingham, Alabama. He has fished all 5 events this year. This is his first FLW Top 10 in your rookie season. Todd, you had over 20 pounds yesterday, biggest stringer of the whole tournament. How'd you do it?
I Doing what I'm doing right now. I flipped all day. I never laid it down. I think I threw a topwater bait about 3 casts first thing in the morning yesterday, and then I picked this up and I stuck with it. So actually, my 2 best fish came from this pocket we're in now. You can't see a lot of them now because the water's up, but this pocket's one of the few pockets in this whole creek that's actually got a good population of isolated bushes. There'd be 1 or 2 here and there, whereas most of the pockets you'd get in the back and it would just be solid bush all the way around. I came in here yesterday with intentions on catching a big sack. I told my wife Wednesday night that I needed 19 or 20 pounds to make the cut. And set my mind to doing it, and I came out and did it.
Yeah, you really made a big leap. Did you think you were out of it after you were in 56th place?
I never, unless I'm all the way at the bottom after the first day, especially on a lake like this, I never think I'm really out of it. Now, I try to never think I'm out of it. If you think you're out of it, you're out of it. I really believe that. Every day I've had to adjust a little bit. One day this cove was better, another day one of my other coves is better. Golly. Did y'all see that fish come through and get it? Man, that's the first time that's happened.
Over to day 1 and 2 leader Tom Monsour, Carolina rigging a brush hog and keeping his hot hand going with a 3.5-pound smallmouth.
This is a gravel bar here. You can't see it now though. I found it when the water was lower. Right up by this bank here is all gravel, and it's full of spotted bass and smallmouth bass.
20 minutes later, Monsour had his 3rd fish.
There's one.
Giving him 5.5 pounds and the lead at 9 a.m. Just minutes later, 10th place qualifier Jeffrey Thomas is throwing a spinnerbait in someone's backyard. Literally. Thomas already has a 2-pounder in the live well, but that bite almost at the boat gives him 4 pounds and puts him in 2nd place for the time being. But watch out for Steve Kennedy. He's about to wind up and get into his first fish, a real nice one. One problem, though, and you don't see this very often, co-angler Ryan Chandler also gets a fish on. Chandler boats his fish while Kennedy brings home what turns out to be a 4.5-pounder. More from Kennedy shortly. And now back to Carlton Wing with Gary Yamamoto.
And Gary, this obviously has to be a great day for the Yamamoto family. You're fishing in the finals, and so also is your son, Derek.
Yeah, I guess it's a dream come true. We watched Guido and Dion, and I guess Derek's been a little busy trying to make a living up to now. And to start off in this as an amateur and work his way up, I think it's going to be a great deal.
Obviously, the lake is up so high, you are able to fish in areas that you would normally have not been able to fish in. Has that, obviously it's helped you to get to the final round. Does that help your style of fishing?
I guess I'm lucky because I'm not familiar with this lake as much as some of these people, and if I can narrow it down to some technique that I like to fish, like this flipping and pitching, I'm a lot better off. And this area, well, I like it because people have cleaned their lawns here, and I don't have to break through trees to get to it.
Nearing 10 a.m., Kennedy heats up. With catches only 4 minutes apart, he soon has 7.5 pounds in the boat. He's right there with Monsour, and Thomas is not far behind.
There he is. Ooh, yeah.
Half an hour later, Kennedy finds one of his best fish of the day. On the end of the line is a 4.5-pound smallmouth. The second-year pro from Auburn, Alabama has 14 pounds and the lead. But we're about to hear from veteran Davey Height. Piloting the Field and Stream boat, he's made a long run south. He's about to go on one of those streaks anglers dream of. You'll see it when FLW Outdoors returns to Kentucky Lake. Welcome back to Walmart FLW Outdoors on flooded Kentucky Lake. You know, the water has risen every day of this event. It's day 3 right now. The water is rising still today, and it's also raining. Where Davey Height is fishing, it's still dry, but so is his live well. Catching fish isn't the problem. Catching the right-sized fish is. Everything appears to be just short of 15 inches. At 10:22, Height hooks his 17th. That's right, his 17th fish, which looks like most of the others. But at the last second, he decides to measure it.
Heck yeah. I was about to throw back a 15.5-inch fish. Wonder how many I've thrown back. Only brought in one today, caught 7 other keepers and threw them back. Boy, I'm good.
Height is about to go on an unforgettable roll. In the next 24 minutes, he catches 5 more keepers Carolina rigging and jumps from 0 to 16 pounds.
Oh, boy. Yeah, baby.
Fish number 6 is the best. It takes Height more than a minute to land, and it weighs almost 5 pounds.
That's the kind we like to call with.
In the Energizer boat, Kennedy is still Carolina rigging and still catching fish. He culls again and moves up to 15 pounds. At 11 a.m., it's Height, Kennedy, and Monsour. Trying to keep pace, Terry Seagraves is Carolina rigging too, but without the success of Height and Kennedy.
I thought he had it swimming at me. He's bumping it there. Don't you even think about coming off. Oops. Right. Where have you been?
Seagraves now has 4.5 pounds in the boat and lots of ground to make up. Over to Mike Sherman, who's still jig fishing in dense cover. He has a limit, but only 9.5 pounds worth.
Perfect position for tomorrow. Comes up another 6-8 inches, it'll be at 3 foot of water.
Kevin Vandam's looking ahead because day 3 isn't what he'd hoped for. He manages 9 pounds of fish, but that's only good enough for 10th place. What Vandam doesn't know is that Davey Height and Steve Kennedy are locked in a big bass slugfest. Height has switched to a rattleback jig, and he's still catching fish. At 1:15, he lands a 4-pounder, but it's been such a good day he has to weigh the fish to make sure he needs it.
All right. He did help me 4 ounces. That could be the difference in winning and second.
Ooh, yeah. Give him that. Give him that.
Of course, Height has no idea about the kind of day Kennedy's having. Just before 3 o'clock, Kennedy boats a 5-pounder. Steve Kennedy just had the biggest fishing day of his life. 23 pounds and the lead over Davey Height and Tom Monsour. Coming up on FLW Outdoors, Kennedy takes his lead to day 4 and tries to hold off the veteran Height and the rest of the field.
As we mentioned, our 10 finalists already have competed on day 3. And our leader is Steve Kennedy with 23 pounds and 1 ounce. He is followed by Davey Height, Tom Monsour, Terry Seagraves, and Todd Airy. That's your top 5. Your next 5 begin with Jeffrey Thomas, then it's Terry Baxay, Gary Yamamoto, Mike Sherman, and Kevin Vandam. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have met the anglers. Now let's meet their fish. This is our shootout style weigh-in. Kevin Vandam will be our first angler to come up. He weighed in 8 pounds and 15 ounces yesterday. Has a mountain to climb. We need 14 pounds and 2 ounces to take the lead and stay in the game.
Kevin Vandam was the first to weigh in and the first to weigh out. But the tournament leader after day 2 accomplished his goal of getting back into contention for the lucrative FLW Tour Championship.
Again, though, a very strong accomplishment. One more tournament remaining to get into that top 48.
That's the real key. I came here hoping to have a good tournament, because I really want to fish for that $500,000. I've never had an opportunity to fish for that much money, and I know all these guys that's what everybody's goal is not only to do well in each tournament, but to make that championship and to fish for the big money.
Mike Sherman caught the second best stringer of the day and took the lead using just 4 of his fish. Gary Yamamoto was next. The proud papa found success along the brush lines. Discovering his area was producing more fish around the hardwood trees. An exception was that any tree with poison ivy on it produced no fish. Gary caught just 3 fish on the final day, good for a 9th place finish, his best ever. Connecticut's Terry Baxay found success all week in a transition area. Baxay's area slowed to just 3 keepers on Saturday, good for an 8th place finish.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't even gone halfway around the horn, and we are already down to our final 7 finalists. When we come back on FLW Outdoors, we'll troll a little closer toward crowning a champion on Kentucky Lake. We have a new leader. Mike Sherman is now out in front with a total weight of 26 pounds and 14 ounces. He is followed by Steve Kennedy, Davey Height, Terry Baxay, and Gary Yamamoto. That's your top 5. Now your next 5 begin with Kevin Vandam, Tom Monsour, Terry Seagraves, Todd Airy, and Jeffrey Thomas. Before we get back to the fish, Taylor Carr is out in the audience with someone who traveled a long way to be here in Benton, Kentucky.
Yeah, no question about it, Carlton. Todd Airy is yet to weigh, but 5 family members are here. His mother, his father, and his wife, Misty, who came all the way from medical school in Grenada.
I wouldn't have missed this for the world. I tell you, if I couldn't have got a plane off of the island, I was prepared to swim.
This is Todd's first year fishing FLW. He has worked really hard. What would it mean to him to win this tournament?
It would mean that his dreams have come true. I had a lady ask me this morning, she said, I bet you are so proud that he made the top 10. And I said, no. And she just kind of looked at me, and I said, I would have been proud if he would have been first or 175th. But then I said, now if you want to ask me if I'm excited, I'm about to jump out of my skin.
One more thing, how many years do you fit through at school?
Forever. No, I'll be in Grenada for another 2 years and 8 months because I'm doing my master's there as well. And then I'll come back to the States and do my clinicals and my residency.
Misty Airy, thank you very much. The Airy cheering section is going strong.
Jeffrey Thomas was next at the scales. He weighed out, but the high water conditions meant normal fishing boundaries didn't exist, and the North Carolina pro tried all the new possibilities.
Again, up close?
Oh, definitely. I've been just chunking and winding all week and then flipping a little bit. Today I put on a lunker lure and just went fishing, just beat the bank. I think my camera guy is going to be glad to be out of the boat with me because I've been slinging that buzz bait by him zip, zip, all day long.
Covering a lot of territory out there.
Well, yeah, I'm covering a lot of territory. I'm having to run. I'm trying to get to the bank. I've fished cow pastures, parking lots, people's yards. I mean, anywhere I can get to the bank.
With 4 pros out of the running, Todd Airy took his turn on stage. And after hearing the interview with his wife, who flew in from Grenada, Todd quickly rethought his initial impressions on his first FLW Top 10.
Holy cow, this is the most fun I've ever had in my life. I tell you, well, I'll take that back. My honeymoon was the most fun I've ever had in my life.
Half the field was out when Terry Seagraves came up with 5 fish, good for nearly 12 pounds, but not good enough to take the lead. The Kissimmee, Florida pro ended in 6th place, his highest ever finish.
Well, I've drug a Carolina rig all week. I've probably caught, I don't know, 1 million fish on it this week. This is another Carolina rig fish, and this was on a little creek channel. Actually, I was sitting back in the back of the pocket, throwing out towards the main lake, and the creek channel was there, and 7 or 8 foot deep, and used to be dry probably at one time. But
lots of water everywhere now.
Lots of water everywhere, and I think I put a lemon in the boat probably in about 30 minutes there.
Well, people in Kentucky are used to the Final Four, and that's what we have right now. Our Final Four finalists are around the stage right now. We will weed our field down to 2 when we come back on FLW Outdoors. Welcome back to FLW Outdoors. We have a little changing on our leaderboard, but still the same leader. Mike Sherman out in front, 26 pounds, 14 ounces. Jeffrey Thomas, who has weighed out, is in 2nd place with 26.1. Then there's Terry Seagraves, Todd Airy, and Steve Kennedy, who still has yet to weigh in fish today. Davey Height in 6th place, Terry Baxay, Gary Yamamoto, Kevin Vandam, and Tom Monsour. Taylor Carr is out in the audience with an anxious member of that audience. Taylor?
Actually 2, Carlton. Julia Kennedy has come from Auburn, Alabama to cheer on Steve, and with their first child, Louie, the family's had to make a lot of sacrifices for Steve to get here.
Yes, we moved all of our stuff into storage, and we moved out of our townhouse, and Steve quit his job, I quit my job, and we've been camping ever since. That's 1.5 years. So.
All right, you had a look at his face here. Does he have enough fish to win this tournament?
Well, he looks about, yeah, he's about to fall apart. So I want to see what's in the live well, but I have no idea. So.
And then real quick, what would it mean to him, and what would it mean to you for him to win this event?
Well, we came into this, we had a little team meeting, and he wanted to make the top 20 to hopefully get back to being in contention for the championship. So when I called him Thursday night, I wasn't here. I said, you made the top 10, you can cross that off the list. The rest of this is just icing. So he said he was going to go fishing for 2 days and see what happened.
The Kennedy family cheering for Steve, Carlton. Wisconsin's Tom Monsour then used all 5 of his fish to take the lead. But that lead didn't last long because Davey Height quickly retook control and eliminated Monsour.
In practice, I never caught a big bass bigger than 3.5. And when I saw that 6.5 come up the first morning on that first spot, I thought, wow, what did I find? That was neat. Catching a big fish is always really neat.
The crowd then saw Steve Kennedy for the first time. 3 fish was all it took to retake the lead and put the heat on Mike Sherman, who needed an 8.5-pound final fish. Sherman fell just short and finished 4th.
Good solid limit today. Good tournament for you, Mike.
Yeah, it was a great tournament. I tell you, this place is just unbelievable. This is just a little bitty spot that it's a couple creek channels that come together, and there's a little rough spot that's got a little rock on it. And I was throwing a gambler lizard and a gambler bacon rind Carolina rigging, and then in between that, I'd pick up a crankbait, and I would catch, I don't know, 8 or 10 fish with a crankbait, and then I'd pick up the bacon rind and do something a little bit different. Then I'd pick up a lizard and do something a little bit different because I was throwing to the same spot over and over and over again. So I was trying to give him something a little bit different.
Give him a good round of applause. Mike Sherman.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our champion here on Kentucky Lake will be either Steve Kennedy or Davey Height. We will crown a winner when we come back on FLW Outdoors. Welcome back to Benton, Kentucky, everybody. This is FLW Outdoors, and we are in the final moments of our exciting shootout-style weigh-in. Our leader leads our challenger by just 3 pounds and 1 ounce. Charlie Evans is with our leader, Steve Kennedy, right now. Charlie?
Steve, this tournament is presented by Energizer. You're out there in the Energizer boat, always a little extra added pressure. And besides that, we talked to your wife in the crowd, also in your crowd, your mom and dad.
Yeah, they drove up yesterday, last night. So.
Van Kennedy is your dad. He fished in the 1983 All-American Championship here on Kentucky Lake. Been fishing with our company for 21 years.
Yeah, I came up here and observed in one of those tournaments. So I've had a little experience here, but that's about it.
That's about it. So it sounds like you're pretty good on Kentucky Lake. You've been having a great time over the last 3 days, now 4 days.
I've practiced for a week and never caught a 4-pounder, but the last 4 days have been the best tournament days I've ever had in my life.
And we're going to watch you out there on Kentucky Lake as you're out there wearing them out.
A year ago, Steve Kennedy was on his way to a 3rd place finish at the BFL All-American. Today, he took off in boat number 1 in the final round of an FLW event here in 2003. Steve, it had to be an exciting night for you, an exciting day on the water yesterday to get you in position here.
Oh yeah, it was incredible.
Your Carolina rigging, what's your target depth?
All this is runs from 7 to maybe 10 feet. The whole area, there's not a big break, there's just some hard bottom.
The 3rd place finish at the All-American last year, that helped prepare you for what it's like to be in the final round here?
Yeah, it helped me dealing with the cameras a little bit, but I don't know about this. We're going to have quite the crowd there.
You got some spectators now.
That's right.
Have you ever seen some mini fish in your life in a body of water?
No, never. For the first week, I didn't think there were any 4-pounders in the lake, but we waded through them, so it's been fun.
It's been fun. One man can beat him. Davey Height, he's with our Carlton Wing.
That's right, I'm with Davey Height, and Davey, we introduced you this morning as a tournament veteran. You said, I still feel young, but you have experience, and that kind of tournament experience can help you on a day like today. You were really the closest guy, and realistically, the only guy that had a shot to catch Steve Kennedy today.
Well, the experience helps, but the 80 miles each way boat ride, I feel like a veteran this afternoon. My back feels like it's 100 years old, but yeah, it's been a great week, and a lot of fish out there in Kentucky Lake. I hate to sound redundant, I was catching 70 a day like these other guys, but you know, it's just a great week, and you'll catch a lot of big fish, make this top 10, and be here, just what you dream about.
This is Davey Height from Prosperity, South Carolina. We have come way south of launch, about 50 miles. We're just south of Big Sandy, and Davey's already caught about 75 fish, and you've got 4 keeper fish, and that may be number 5 right there. What are you doing, Davey?
I've been having a blast out here on Kentucky Lakes, what I'm doing. You know, it's it's so many fish here, and I mean, if you can't have fun doing this, something's wrong with you.
You really have caught about 15 fish here, haven't you?
Yeah, and I mean, we're just getting started, and it's all species. This is a spotted bass. I've caught a keeper smallmouth and largemouth, lots of them, so it's just fun.
How did you know these were good Carolina rig fish?
Well, you know, when you're just searching, a Carolina rig or a crankbait is a good search bait in these creek channels. Try to find these little sweet spots where these fish are holding up. And they move around. Some places are better than others. There's one. From day to day, but, you know, this one's being pretty good to me today.
You need a couple 5-pounders, don't you?
Yeah, it's going to take that to have a chance to win, but, you know, as long as you're getting bits, you've got that hope that, you know, the next one's going to be a great big one.
You know, you had the 19 pounds yesterday. Were you surprised when Steve Kennedy came in with 23?
Oh, yeah. That might be my 5th keeper there. Yeah, I was surprised. You know, there wasn't a stringer that big in the tournament so far, and but I knew this lake was capable of that. So, yeah, I was surprised, but not shocked. Steve's done great so far this week, and it's going to be real fun this afternoon at weigh-in.
You got a limit now. We've only been here 35 minutes.
Don't get any better than that.
Let's talk a little bit now about this shootout between yourself and Steve Kennedy. You are one of the veterans. You have won an FLW Tour championship. You've been an Angler of the Year. You remember what it was like to be in Steve Kennedy's shoes?
You know, when I was sitting there this morning and I saw the excitement in Steve's eyes and his family and almost the tears in his family's eyes and them all being there, and my wife was back in the room asleep. She didn't even get up to go to lunch with me. I thought, you know, 8 years ago she would be down here, and but they did. My wife and her parents and my 2 sons, they did come to the tournament, but they slept in. They won't get up, come to launch. But, you know, we're all competitors. We're fierce competitors. That's what makes us make 90-mile boat rides with that Evinrude back and forth for 4 straight days. But I almost thought this morning, you know, if I don't win this thing, it'll be great to see Steve and his family win.
Well, we're going to find out who wins this tournament here now in mere moments. Davey Height is our challenger. He is 3 pounds and 1 ounce off of the lead of Steve Kennedy. He has weighed in 4 fish. So, Davey, go ahead. Let's bring up your final fish and see if Davey is able to take the lead. If so, we will go to Steve Kennedy for his fish. He has weighed in 3 thus far. If Davey Height is not able to bring up 3 pounds and 1 ounce, Steve Kennedy will be our champion. Here we go. The moment of truth has arrived. Davey Height approaches the scales needing 3 pounds and 1 ounce.
Really close right here. Not quite enough. 2 pounds, 8 ounces. We have a champion with room to spare.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Kennedy is your champion, still with fish to weigh, big fish and active fish. Steve Kennedy, $100,000 richer. A standing ovation from a Kentucky crowd that knows it's fishing. Steve, bring the fish up to the scales. Let's get a final weight. What an amazing tournament for Steve Kennedy.
His final 2 fish weigh in at 9 pounds, 9 ounces. Our champion, Steve Kennedy.
Steve, tell me, just real quickly, you got $100,000 and you also have the title of an FLW tournament champion. How does that feel?
It's been an incredible week. Catching those fish for the last 2 days was the best 2 tournament days I've ever had in my life, and this is just icing on the cake here.
Well, we've got some pretty lucrative icing coming your way. Come on over to the front of the stage here. We've got a presentation for you that's going to be possibly the biggest deposit you've ever made into your bank account.
Steve, on behalf of Energizer, we're very pleased to present you this check for $100,000 and partner up with our friends at Walmart and FLW Outdoors. Steve fished out of the Energizer boat. He has truly made the Energizer Bunny proud. Congratulations.
is a look at our final leaderboard. Steve Kennedy is your winner with a total weight of 44 pounds and 14 ounces. A full 10 pounds and 1 ounce better than second place, which is Davey Height. Then it's Tom Monsour, Mike Sherman, and Jeffrey Thomas. That's your final top 5. Then it's Terry Seagraves, Todd Airy, Terry Baxay, Gary Yamamoto, and Kevin Vandam. Thank you so much for watching this week on FLW Outdoors. Don't forget, next week you can see Larry Nixon, who will be with our champion and 2 other finalists on FLW Outdoors. And for the best online source around the clock of professional bass fishing information, log on to FLWOutdoors.com. We'll see you next week on FLW Outdoors.